All right, hey, what's up? Brent here. I'm the jazz musician behind LearnJazzStandards.com. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to learn a jazz solo by ear so that it actually helps, how to learn it the right way. Now, if you talk to any jazz teacher, any jazz musician, they are going to tell you that learning jazz solos from the greats or just jazz musicians that you admire is one of the best practices you can do to learn jazz language and to improve as a jazz musician. Ultimately, we need to learn the jazz language in order to be able to improvise and sound like we're playing jazz music. And so one of the best things you can do is sit down with a recording, find a solo, and start working on it. Now, here's the thing though, it's actually a lot of work. If you've ever done this before, you know that it's really tough. And what I'm talking about here is learning it by ear. Because you could sit down with a piece of sheet music of a transcribed solo, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. That's not bad. But ultimately, it's kind of a different practice. You're missing a lot of things unless you're learning it by ear. And it's really important to spend some time learning stuff by ear. It's okay sometimes to learn from transcriptions, but ultimately learning a solo by ear is the ultimate practice for a multitude of reasons, for ear training reasons, for internalization reasons, for just the fact that the history of jazz music, the tradition, is orally learning the music. But we don't want to waste our time, right? I mean, we spend a lot of time and effort doing this, and why would we want to spend all this time if it's not actually going to help us, if we didn't do it the right way in order to get the best results? So that's what I'm going to teach you in today's video. I don't want you to waste your time. I've transcribed many solos, learned many solos by ear, and so I know from trial and error how to do this the best way, the most efficient way, the way that I'm going to get the most value for my time investment when learning a jazz solo by ear. So I'm going to go through several different steps of how to do this the right way. Let's do this. Okay, step number one, pick a solo that you actually like. Now this step is not to be underestimated at all. I've had a bunch of teachers, in the past suggest certain solos to me, and sometimes they were solos I ended up actually liking, but sometimes they were solos that were assigned to me that I didn't particularly enjoy, or at least they didn't give me energy. So at the end of the day, I either didn't finish learning them or I just didn't get a lot out of them because my heart wasn't in it. I wasn't really excited about it. So I would encourage you to do, if you want to start off on the right foot when learning a solo, pick a solo that you genuinely enjoy. That when you listen to it, you're like, wow, I really want to play that. I want to know what this guy was doing. I want to get inside of that. I want to try to get some of that on my instrument into my jazz playing. So when you get energy from a solo, that's a good sign that that's one that would be good to learn. Now, if you're not feeling excited about it, I would suggest putting that on the side. There could be some good lessons to be learned in that solo, but maybe it's not the right one, because if you don't have that excitement, it can be hard to stay motivated for all the work, the long haul, the motivation that you'll need to finish that solo. So that's step number one, pick a jazz solo that you're actually going to enjoy learning. Now, number two is a really important step, so listen very closely. Before you even touch your instrument, make sure you're able to sing along with that solo, or at least sections of that solo, larger sections like a chorus or something like that. Now, singing is really important. And again, we're not touching our instrument, because singing essentially tells you, if you can sing along with something, that means you have internalized that solo, those sounds. If you're able to sing along to a Dexter Gordon solo, that means you have an idea of how that solo actually goes. What we don't want to do is we don't want to go straight to our instrument and learn it, because then we're trying to challenge ourselves with two different separate issues that we're dealing with. One is translating information onto our instrument, and the other one is internalizing it. We want to get the internalization process down first, and then make our job so much easier just translating that stuff onto the instrument. So spend lots of time listening to that solo, or at least sections of that solo. Be able to sing along with it, and then transfer it to your instrument. It'll make it so much easier. It'll ensure that you've internalized that musical information. I guarantee you this is the way to go. So number two, make sure you can sing along with the solo. All right, number three, learn just one short phrase at a time. So you've already internalized this solo, you can sing it. Now you're gonna find some of the more subtleties, right? You may not have nailed every single one of the notes when you were singing. Not all of us are the best singers, the most accurate singers. So we're gonna have to go back and really dig into what those notes are and translate what we're hearing to our instrument. But we only want to do it as small phrases at a time. You know, in my jazz course, 30 Days to Better Jazz Playing, it's a jazz practicing course, we do this process. We learn just a little bit of a solo every single day, just 4 to 8 bars depending on where you're at in your musicianship. And this is really important because you want to spend just a little bit of time, you know, less is more, really sinking into that information, really getting it on your instrument. Don't overwhelm yourself. The big mistake a lot of people make is trying to bite off more than they can chew and thinking that, well, I'm going to get that solo done faster. Well, it's not always the best thing to get it done faster, and sometimes you can get it done faster by just biting off small little chunks. So learn 4 or 8 bars or maybe a whole line on your instrument, call it a day, and move on to the next one the next chance you get to practice. It's going to really help you sink in that information, okay? So really important, just bite off small chunks at a time when learning it on your instrument. All right, number 4, listen up. This is a must. Learn each part and play it along with the recording. Definitely play it along with the recording. Now there's several reasons why you should do this. Number 1 is memorization, okay? It's gonna help you memorize it so much better by playing it along with the instrumentalist. Now, number 2 is accuracy, okay? Now, sometimes we just practice, we learn it, we practice it on our own, we can kind of miss some of the details, like some of the rhythms that we were supposed to hit. Maybe we accidentally changed the rhythm a little bit from what it originally was. Maybe we even miss a note. After a while, we start interpreting the line just a little bit differently, and it's not 100% accurate to the recording. So you want to play it along with the recording so that you know for sure that you're playing it accurately. Okay, and the last reason is for authenticity, okay? Being authentic to the original soloist, okay? So I always suggest to my students to learn Miles Davis's solo on Freddie Freeloader, okay? It's a great solo, super melodic, not very hard, pretty easy to get. And the thing though is, if you were just to play it straight, like reading it off a piece of sheet music, you would totally miss what Miles Davis was going for. So what you want to do is you want to play along with Miles Davis so you really get the feeling that he was going for. You get how he phrased things. It's really important. You're trying to get inside of that soloist and how he played. And that's how you can get the most out of the solos, by doing this. So listen to the recording, play along with the recording, and make sure you're matching how that soloist actually phrased and played. All right, number 5 is repeat whole sections. Repeat whole sections. Repeat whole sections. Repeat whole sections along with the recording. Okay, so we've already batched small sections. You learned a small section, you learned a small section, you learned a small section. Then take all those sections and play them one after another. Review them, play them along with the recording, right? So it's kind of like a building block. You know, you're building it up, and then you finally have this structure. Make sure you go over that structure, that you have it down. That's the best way to learn most things, actually, is to learn in batches and then review. But that's essentially what you should do when learning a solo as well. So learn and practice larger sections and review them. All right, number 6, after you've gone through this process of learning small sections, then batching together larger sections, you're eventually going to finish the solo, right? You're gonna get to the end eventually over a period of time, as long as you're motivated, as long as you stick in there and you keep practicing. And then once you've done that, review over a period of time. So number 6, review it over a period of time. Now, it's not that you want to be able to play this verbatim, and the reason you're reviewing it is so that you never forget it, so the next time that solo on My Shining Hour comes up, you know, you're playing My Shining Hour, that you can copy what John Coltrane did. No, you don't want to do that. That's not the intention of learning a solo. You're learning a solo to subconsciously get some of those elements underneath you, to learn some of that language, right? I mean, in order to learn any language, like Greek, Chinese, Spanish, you have to kind of copy things from people and phrases and then start speaking them yourself, but eventually you're gonna say them a completely different way. You're gonna say it in your own original way, and that's the intention. So you wanna review it for a little while before moving on to the next solo, because that just helps solidify what you learned, so that all that time you spent was time well spent and you got the most you could out of that solo. All right, so I hope those tips helped. Now here's the question that I want you to answer. What do you think is one of the greatest challenges of learning solos? Okay, leave a comment in the comment section below. Would love to hear from everybody as a community and help each other learn and help each other grow. Now, if you like some of this stuff, you know, this is something that we really do in our 30 Days to Better Jazz Playing e-course. You can find that at learnjazzstandards.com/30 days, 30 days. And if you're interested in a course that really takes jazz practicing seriously, you may want to consider that one. All right, so if you like this video, make sure that you subscribe on YouTube, make sure you like our Facebook page, and of course, join our newsletter, our jazz community at learnjazzstandards.com/join. All right, I'm signing off. I'm looking forward to seeing you back in the next video.